Hello students, today we are going to deal with the second part of the chapter, The Little Girl. In part 1, we talked about Kezia's fear for her father and the reasons for her fear, and what were the reasons that kept her aloof from her parents. Kezia's grandmother asked her to make a surprise birthday gift for her father. While she was making that, she made a serious mistake of tearing the speech prepared by her father. The entire family was in search of that paper. Finally, Kezia's mother came to ask Kezia about that paper. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room. Oh yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this moment. Kezia's mother came to Kezia to ask her if she had seen some papers lying on a table in her mother's room. Now here we get to see that Kezia is an innocent girl. She did not intend to harm anyone. She was just preparing a birthday gift for her father. And so, very truly, she tells her mother that she found some pieces of paper lying on the table. As she needed them, she took them and tore them and stuffed them into the cushion to prepare that birthday gift. That is a birthday gift that she had prepared for her father. Unknowingly, Kezia had done a great disaster. What was that? To tear the piece of that paper, which was kept by her father, and that was a very important paper. Now, Kezia's mother is so furious when she comes to know that Kezia has torn the speech that her father is looking for. And so she orders Kezia to come down into the dining room at that very moment. And she was dragged down to where father was pacing to and fro, hands behind his back. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Mother, go up to her room and fetch down the damned thing. See that the child is put to bed this instant. Kezia's father is much worried and tensed as his important document has been lost. Kezia has torn it into pieces. Now, Kezia will be scolded for the mischief that she has done. Now, why is Kezia's father referring to that cushion that she has prepared as a damned thing? Because he is angry at the cushion because Kezia has torn his important document to prepare that. He is very angry with Kezia and he stared at her and asked her if she had torn the papers. Kezia was so scared that she was again stammering. And then Kezia's father ordered her mother to fetch or go and bring the cushion downstairs and asked her to put Kezia to bed at that very moment. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room, watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hand. I am going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. Kezia wanted to justify her action as she was innocent. She did not mean to harm her father. She was just preparing a surprise birthday gift for him. Kezia was very sad. She had been happy that she had prepared a surprise gift for her father and he would like that gift. But on the other hand, she had accidentally committed a great disaster of tearing the piece of paper. Now, he is about to punish Kezia for the wrong act she has committed. Kezia's father told her that he would beat her with the ruler. Kezia was so scared that she tried to hide under the sheets. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. But it was for your birthday. Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. Now here we come to know why Kezia's father was being strict with her. Why he was punishing her? Because he wanted Kezia to know that she should not touch that thing that does not belong to her. He wanted to teach her this so that it benefited her in her future life. Right now, she is a small child. She did not know what was important and what was not important. That is why unknowingly she has torn the important document of her father. And so he was punishing her. He did not want to harm Kezia, but he wanted that Kezia should know that in future she should not touch anything that does not belong to her. Kezia tried to explain her position. She said that she had been preparing a birthday gift for her father. She wanted to give him a surprise and had to stuff it with something. She just tore the pages to stuff them into the cushion. She did not want to tear his important documents, and she did not know that the paper contained some important documents. But Kezia's father did not listen to her excuses, and he hit the palms of her hand with a ruler. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. What did God make fathers for? She sobbed. Now Kezia was so afraid. She was punished. Her father had hit her small little palms with the ruler. And many hours later, her grandmother wrapped her in a shawl and was trying to pacify her. She made her sit in her lap on a rocking chair, and she was trying to put Kezia to sleep. And Kezia clung to her grandmother's soft body very tightly. Kezia was still not comfortable. She was crying, and she said that God should not have made fathers because fathers are behaving in this way. She hated her father. She was so innocent, and she did not know what wrong she had done. She was just preparing a gift for her father. She was heartbroken as he did not understand her and said that God should not have made fathers like him. Here is a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep. Pet, you will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands behind her back and a red color flew into her cheeks. Now, Kezia's grandmother was trying to pacify her, to calm down her. She gave her a handkerchief to blow her nose in it and asked her to go to sleep. She added that by morning Kezia would forget the beating and the pain of the beating. Her grandmother also tried to explain to her father that Kezia did not do that intentionally, but her father was too upset to listen to what her grandmother was saying. Again, we see the little child's innocence. She did not realize that her father hit her to teach her a lesson so that she did not touch anything that did not belong to her in future. Kezia never forgot the beating that she got. Whenever she saw her father approaching, she would keep her hands behind her back because she felt that maybe he would hit her again. Whenever she saw her father, she got scared. She kept her hands at the back, thinking that he would punish her again, and her cheeks turned red out of fear. The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders. 2 little girls hanging on to his coat pockets ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. Once she saw the boys turn the hose on him, and he tried to catch them laughing all the time. Here, the writer tells us about Kezia's neighbors. Her neighbors were a family named McDonald's. In all, the McDonald's had 5 children, and Kezia would peep at them through a hole in the fence. She would see that the family had a lot of fun. They played a game called tag. It's a children's game of catching one another. All the children, along with their father, would have a lot of fun. Mr. MacDonald would make his little boy Mao sit on his shoulders, and the 2 little daughters would hang on to his coat pockets. All the children were so much attached to their father. They loved him so much that they would stick to him. And then they would run around the garden, around the flower beds, and they would laugh and laugh and laugh. Kezia also wanted to have such fun with her father, and she missed it. One day, she saw that the little son of Mr. MacDonald, Mao, opened the hose on him. They opened the water pipe and tried to make their father wet. But Mr. MacDonald was not angry with them. He tried to catch them, and he was laughing. This was very strange for Kezia, because her father was just opposite to Mr. MacDonald. And she understood there that there were different types of fathers. Then she decided there were different sorts of fathers. When Kezia saw Mr. MacDonald, she realized that he was quite opposite to her father. She felt that God had made various sorts of fathers or various kinds of fathers. Suddenly, one day, mother became ill, and she and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice, the cook. That was all right in the daytime, but while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. One day, Kezia's mother fell ill, and she was taken to the hospital, and her grandmother also went along with her. Now, Kezia was all alone at home with the cook Alice. Kezia was fine during the daytime because there was nothing to worry about during the daytime. At night, when the cook put Kezia to bed all alone, Kezia started to have fear. She started to feel scared. What will I do if I have nightmare? She asked. I often have nightmares, and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispering. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks. And don't you scream and wake your poor pa. Kezia asked Alice that if she had a bad dream or a nightmare, what she would do all alone. Kezia explained to Alice that whenever she had nightmares, she would go to her grandmother and she would sleep along with her grandmother. She said that she could not stay all alone in the dark because she would be scared, and she used to get that whispery sound. She could hear different kinds of whispering sound which made her feel that there was someone around her. Kezia's father was sleeping in the next room, and Alice told Kezia to sleep quietly. She removed Kezia's socks and asked her not to scream at night. She warned her not to scream and wake her father, who is sleeping in the next room. But Kezia was helpless because she was afraid. She was scared to sleep alone. But the same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, Grandma, Grandma. She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. Now, this is a nightmare that Kezia used to have. She would see a butcher, and this butcher would hold a big knife, a huge butcher's knife, and a rope, and he would approach Kezia. He had a dreadful smile on his face. And once Kezia would see him, she would feel that she was unable to move. She was just stuck. She was so much scared of him. She was terrified to see this butcher, and in her sleep, Kezia cried out for help. She called for her grandma. When Kezia woke up, she was shivering, she was trembling, and she saw that her father was standing next to her bed and he was holding a candle in his hand. Kezia's father had heard her screams and he had heard that Kezia was calling for her grandma and he had come to help her. "What's the matter?" he said. "Oh, a butcher, a knife. I want Granny." He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. Her father asked Kezia what the matter was, why she was screaming. Kezia was still scared of the nightmare, and of course her father as well. She said that there was a butcher. He was holding a dreadful butcher's knife and she wanted her grandma to be with her. Here we can see the affection that Kezia's father has for her. He blew the candle off. He lifted her and carried her to his bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep still with the butcher's smile all about her, it seemed. She crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Kezia's father lay her in his bed next to him and covered her with the top sheets. Now Kezia felt her father's affection, and so she went close to him. She snuggled or moved closer towards her father and she held his shirt tightly so that she would not feel scared again. And now Kezia had overcome her fear of her father. Now she understands her father's love and affection towards her. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. "Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm," said father. Once Kezia was with her father, she was no longer afraid. She was not at all afraid of her father. She was not afraid of the darkness. Her father asked Kezia to rub her feet against his legs so that they become warm. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than grandmother, but it was a nice hardness. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. MacDonald. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stood suddenly and sighed. As Kezia's father was very tired, he slept before she did. A funny feeling came over her. Here, Kezia realizes her mistake, and she had affection towards her father. He was not so big as she found him to be earlier. Now, she felt that her father was a poor man who worked very hard, and so he got so tired that he went off to sleep and did not play with her like Mr. MacDonald did with his children. But Kezia felt that her father's heart was full of love for her. She realizes that she has torn up his important document, the speech that he has written. She realizes that she had been wrong, and that is why her father had beaten her. He had been so strict with her for her well-being. "What's the matter?" asked her father. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head is on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear." Although Kezia's father was asleep, he felt the stirring and he heard her sigh. He heard the sound that Kezia made, and he asked her what the matter was, and if she was again having a bad dream. Kezia replied to her father that she had placed her head on her father's heart and she could hear his heartbeat. And she complimented her father that he had a big heart. So Kezia is now showing her love towards her father, as she had realized that her father also loved her. That's all the chapter. Thanks for watching.